Appreciate all of you that are here today. We thank you so very much. We will, if you'll stand, we'll ask Commissioner Jackson to lead us in our invocation. Commissioner Cochran will lead us in our pledge. Commissioner Jackson.
Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you so much for the opportunity to gather here today. And just thank you for being so good to us, for being so merciful, Lord. And just thank you for your blessings. Thank you for these that are gathered, Lord. I pray your blessings upon each one. And I pray for, Lord, your wisdom, for guidance and direction in all that we say and do, that we be found doing what is good and what is right for the people we serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran.
Let's place the flag. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated, please. Again, we appreciate your presence here this morning, and we invite you to come at any time that you can. The first item of business is to approve the minutes as you received them. I think all of you have received a copy of them. Is there any changes that needs to be made? If there is not, I'll solicit a motion that we accept them as you've received them.
So moved.
Your second? Second. Motion second. In discussion. Many in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Next item is Road Department, Road Maintenance Update. Mr. Brown.
Good morning. I'll just give you a real brief update. Really don't have anything much new to update you on. We are still hauling dirt. We're hauling to some roads in District 2 right now. Making good progress on those. We've relocated to a new area in the church pit on the property that we bought. Have been meeting down there last week, and he pointed out a couple of things that I was really not aware of, but we've been able to kind of relocate, and it's working a lot better. We're getting the trucks loaded easier and quicker and getting them out a little quicker. So we're going to continue with that as long as the weather stays like it is. I don't see that we'll have need to miss a day. We can pretty much run, I think, every day as long as we got something running to load the trucks with. Also, still running all three of our patch trucks. Every day we send those out. We're floating them around different districts a week at a time. And we're going to continue to do that. It's good weather also to be doing those kind of things. I think some of the crews, a couple of them are still doing a little bit of mowing and some bush cutting, but I think part of them have stopped right now just to maybe safeguard against starting a fire. We've had some pretty good fires around. I actually had a crew patching potholes out on County Road 89 north of Mentone yesterday, and fortunately they came by at the right time and were able to put out a fire that had just got started in the woods. They don't know if somebody set it or how it got started, but fortunately they came by and were able to get it put out. But it could have been turned into a huge fire real quick. So did not get any rain, enough substantial rain to make any difference to curb that threat any. So I'm going to leave it up to these crews. They have fire extinguishers with them. If they set the grass on fire on the side of the road, hopefully they can get it put out before it starts to spread too much. That's about all I have for you in the weather update. If you have any questions, I'll answer those for you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions, Mr. Rawls? Thank you, Tom.
All right, I have a couple of things I did not get on the agenda in time for them to show up here on our agenda, but we talked last week about the purchase of a double drum vibratory roller. We talked about a used one, and I think y'all were more in favor of looking at a new one. I've got a price on a new machine. It's a little cheaper than what I had estimated the price to be. It's $163,904. This is for a Caterpillar CV64. It's the same machine as what we had priced and got used prices on. This has a full warranty, 5-year or 3,000 hours, whichever comes first. So about $15,000 to $20,000 cheaper than I felt like it would be. But that's what the price is going to be. If we decide to buy it, it'll be purchased off the NIPA bid.
What else have you got? Have you got anything else? That's the only thing you got?
I've just got a personnel item.
Okay. All right. Coming to you here, Mr. Rawls, statement concerning purchase price of vibratory roller. What's the disposition? You want to discuss it?
Well, wasn't that only $20,000 difference between a used one?
Yeah. The used one, the highest price used one we had a price on, I think, was $120,000. or
So
125.
40,000 from a used one for a new one?
Yeah, but it had over 1,000 hours on it already, so.
So your recommendation would be the new one if we,
Well, probably, all things considered, the reason I was talking about a used one was hoping to offset the cost of it by selling some surplus equipment or something. But, yeah, all things considered, this would be the best route to go, because this is something we're going to be using more and more as time goes on.
Any other questions?
I think something, a no-brainer with the difference in the price, and then the, especially
You won't
with the
get
warranty.
very much of a warranty on any used machine. The warranty will be much reduced from what this is. So.
We kind of established the need last commission meeting and about how much it would cost per year, basically. And buying the new one is not always the best thing, but I think in this case it definitely is. I'll make a motion, we'll go ahead and authorize the purchase of this vehicle.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second, any discussion concerning the motion? If not, any in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state your objection. That record so stated was unanimous. Go ahead, Mr. Roy.
We need to post a position for an opening in District 4. One of the guys we hired at the last meeting not going to be able to take the job, so we need to go ahead and post that position.
Make a motion to approve.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Any in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Motion
Thank you, that's
carries.
all I have.
Thank you, Mr. White.
One comment if I can. In the, since the county is not actively doing mowing on the side from a safety standpoint, some of our citizens have, in an effort to improve the area that they live in, are doing it themselves. I want them to clearly understand that if they cause some damage to other people's property, whether it be a rock coming to a vehicle or if they set a fire that damages people's property, then they are responsible for what occurs, not the county. I would highly encourage people to stay off the right-of-way period, but if they're going to do it, they need to understand the consequences. Right. Need to talk to my wife. She definitely knows out there. Can't handle her
Next item on the agenda is our engineer's contract. Mr. Luther's contract is renewed, or an engineer's contract is renewed every other year. We do that 2 years at a time. And the contract is due to be renewed at this time. Now, we have authorized an assistant engineer to be hired, and we completed that process. The date's closed on it as far as that's concerned. But anyway, we will have that coming up sometime shortly, around the first of the year. But gentlemen, Mr. Luther's contract is fastly coming to a close, and it would be my recommendation. I think you do a good job. We appreciate what you do. And, we're glad you're here at home, and that's one of my main concerns, somebody being here that stayed here, and we appreciate what you've done. And I'll put that before you. I would highly recommend that we renew his contract. The state pays 70% of his salary, and with that scale that comes along with that, we progressed really well, I think. So any question, comments about that you'd like to make? There is none. You can make what comments you want, but I would solicit a motion that we renew his contract with state standards in mind.
I'll make a motion that we renew it, and I'd like to thank Ben for the job that he's done and the help that he's been for me over the past year.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Do I hear a second to that?
I'll second.
Motion second, in discussion. Many in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state your objection. Let the record so stated was unanimous.
Then
Thank
they
you.
amended your contract, you're now on call 25 hours, rather than 24.
Next item is Revenue Commissioner, Mr. Wilkes, planning and training meeting, do both of them. What do you think?
All right, got a AATA planning meeting that I need to attend in Montgomery, November 14th, 15th. So we'll be going down on the 14th. And also have Susan Shankles, who is appointed to a AAAO planning conference or planning committee, and she would need to go to Auburn on December 1st.
Any questions concerning the recommendation? If not, into your motion, we honor your request.
So moved.
Your second, motion second, any discussion? Many in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you.
One other thing I didn't get on the agenda, and I happened to think about it this morning, found this out last week, just as a note for you guys, to, in case y'all haven't heard also. Lowe's dismissed, there for Lowe's, we have the Lowe's case dismissed. Wasn't dismissed, Lowe's just dropped the case. So however they term that in legal terms, but anyway, Lowe's, I guess, dropped their objection and dropped their suit against us in that, so we're no longer under lawsuit anymore.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, son.
Next item of business is training, Mr. Sharp.
This is the DeKalb County Animal Adoption Center training. Miss Leslie's requested that Emily, she's changed her name now, Emily Hart. She's got married, but she's wanted her to go to the certified euthanasia training that's required, so I would entertain a motion to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Any questions concerning the recommendation? If not, do you hear a motion? We honor the request.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, in discussion. Many in favor, having known saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. The next item is Cherokee Etowah DeKalb Mental Health Board. Mayor Chuck Abels at Geraldine had served on that board for some time. He is coming off that board, so we will need to accept his resignation and forward that information to the CED Mental Health Board where they can recommend a replacement for him. Any questions concerning that? If not, do I hear a motion we accept his resignation from the board?
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, in discussion. As many as favor, let it be known by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Next item is sales tax collection fee resolution amendment. Mr. Sharp.
This is a resolution that was recommended by the examiners. When the county sales tax was passed back in '92, the state at that time had a fixed rate of a collection fee rate. I think the state actually did collect the county sales tax for a while, and then when the county started collecting it, it had a certain rate that they used based on the state. Well, since that time, that's been back, 20 years ago. Since that time, the state now changes their rates frequently. I think every year they'll change their rates. And so our rate has never changed. It's stayed the same. It's a 5% collection fee, and then there's a minimum dollar amount on that too. So what I would request us to do is just basically to pass this resolution fixing our rate as it is currently.
And this will satisfy the...
It'll satisfy the auditors, yeah. Because the state's changed their rules, so we need to change ours to kind of match either what we're doing or what the state's, or change what we're collecting, the fee, basically like that, so.
I understand that it's not changing the rate, though.
No, it's not, there's no,
5%.
yeah, there's not gonna be, there's no change in the tax or anything. This is just the fee associated
With collecting.
for collecting,
for
the
the
collecting,
cities and
yeah.
stuff. And that fee's not changing.
Yeah,
That's been the
it'll be
same.
yeah. Everything, basically everything will be the same.
We're just getting it documented.
Right.
Okay.
We just got to keep the auditors. All right, any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to accept Mr. Sharp's recommendation?
So moved.
Your second. Motion second, in discussion. Many in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Next item is rural public transportation training, Mr. Sharp.
Ms. Brewer sent a request to attend the 2017 Management Training Workshop in Mobile, November 2nd and 4th.
You hear Mr. Sharp's recommendation. Is there any questions concerning the request? If not, do I hear a motion to honor his request?
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Motion second, in discussion. Many in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you. Damage claim, Mr. Sharp.
I have a damage claim from Zane Dalton from County Road 72. I think this damage claim occurred on County Road 333. Claimed the bush cutter cutting on the side of the road caused some damage to his vehicle. And so so I would ask that we send this to our insurance company for final disposition.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Any questions concerning the recommendation? If not, do I hear a motion that we forward this to the insurance carrier? Your second. Motion second, any discussion? If any is favor, let it know by saying aye. Anyone opposed, state your objection. Thank you, motion carried. The eighth item is the constitutional amendments that will be voted on in the county in the upcoming election on November the 8th. We have a local amendment concerning special elections, and we've tried to promote the repeal of Amendment 845 concerning the way that unexpired terms has to be handled. Up to this point, we have spent something like $300,000, my memory is correct, on special elections. And it could be, on a county-wide election, it could be as much as $500,000. The fact of the matter is that it cost us nearly $100,000 to get some constables elected to office that is a unpaid position. And the fact of the matter is, we don't have the money to do it. We can't afford to do it. If we were to have a special election countywide, we'd have to borrow the money to have an election. This applied to Jackson County at one time, but they immediately repealed it. And we are the only county in the state that this amendment applies to. What we're asking is that we repeal this particular amendment, 845, and go back to the time when the governor could appoint somebody to fill an unexpired term. For example, when I was elected chairman of the county commission, it left my seat that Mr. Wooden occupies now vacant. Well, it took us 6.5 months to get a commissioner elected. It cost us about $188,000. Am I right, Mr. Shaw? Somewhere along that line? Something like that. When you get up those kind of numbers, it's out of my range of thought sometimes. But, and then that filtered over into the next election cycle. And it's really become something that is, if every situation was ideal and we had plenty of money to do this with, it would be fine. But that's not the situation. It's not the situation anywhere in the state. So what we're asking is your support, and I'd ask you gentlemen around the table for a resolution of support for this. And it'll not only be good as far as the time and getting officials appointed, but it will also save us money that we can put somewhere else. And we are in such a state that we need to have every dime we have to where we can put it somewhere. So I'll give you any kind of statement that you'd like to make, but I would just like to ask a resolution be placed on the permanent record of our county that we go on record as supporting this local amendment that would repeal Amendment 845. All right, Mr. Jackson, do you have anything you want to say? Or just go with it? Okay.
And that's a yes vote on that.
That is a yes vote. It is a yes vote.
I support it. Congratulations.
I've heard people say that this is taking away the people's right to vote. It is not. You still have the right to vote. You're voting in elections that are called by the state. At normal times, and the state participates in the cost of the elections. It's just putting it back where common sense can rule again. I feel a little guilty in some respects because of this particular amendment was passed within the year of after when I was appointed to this position by the governor to run for re-election. Apparently, it aggravated some people. But anyway, it needs to be repealed. It really does.
Mr. Wood?
I'll reiterate everything that was said about that. Agree 100% that it needs to be repealed. Just for the record, I think the two constable elections that were held, and I'm not exactly sure on the cost, somewhere around 80,000 to something like that.
Almost 90.
Almost 90,000 for the two constable elections. One of those constable positions was, there was only like 16 months left on the term when he finally did get through the election process and get put in position, and there was less than 2% turnout, voter turnout for that election. And I believe in the special election that I was involved in, if I'm not mistaken, it was about an 8% turnout. I could be wrong. It was 8 to 10% turnout.
It was 100 people on the dot turned out, so
Yeah.
that's exactly what you're doing, on the runoff.
So, yeah, it shows that there's not a lot of interest in those, but it still costs the county a lot of money, and it also costs the candidates a lot of money, because it costs, the cost of running for election continues to increase on the candidates. And so I fully support repealing this amendment.
Mr. Caldwell?
I'm in agreement with everybody. I support repealing it, and like I say, the majority of them that thinks they're taking away the right to vote don't get out and vote anyway. If you look at our amount of people that turns out for the elections, but that money could be used, wisely spent more on our roads and infrastructure or whatever that's deemed to it. So I'm in full favor of repealing 845.
Mr. Sharp?
Well, so the general law right now states that if there's more than 2 years left on a term, that the governor's appointment only lasts until that term, to the next election. So say if it was a 6-year term and you were 1 year into that term, 5 years left, you don't get a 5-year appointment. You get a 1-year appointment. And then there's an election, a general election, which the state contributes for that remaining 4 years. And same would work with a 4-year term. That's the way it is in all the other 67 counties. This amendment only applies to us. It does not apply to municipalities. So, for instance, if the mayor vacated his office, there's no special election for them. The city council would actually appoint those. It's only DeKalb County that has to fund this unfunded mandate. It's an unfunded mandate. So I would strongly recommend that we pass it, because like Mr. Rocco said, if you had a situation where, say, the probate judge becomes vacant, and just say Mr. Rocco decided to run for that, you're looking at $250,000 maybe for that election, and then maybe $250,000 for his election. Then if one of you wanted to run, you're looking at another $100,000 or so. And then how much time that takes. It could get real crazy, and it could happen. No one would have thought the constable election we would have it. That you're actually voting for constable. So I would strongly recommend it from a financial standpoint. It just doesn't make sense. If it affected every county in the state, that would be one thing, but it only affects DeKalb County. So I would strongly recommend repealing it.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Any other questions?
I concur with what you're
Maybe we adopt the resolution as presented.
We have a motion to adopt the resolution. Your second? Motion second, in discussion. Any in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. We would ask that the record so state that the resolution be unanimous. Some other statewide amendments here that we'll just discuss, and these are statewide amendments. The Amendment 2 is not on here, but we failed to put it on there. But Amendment 2 simply says that the money generated by our state park stays with the state park. And I would highly encourage each one of you to promote that, just like the amendment for the special election. The reason for this amendment is that sometimes legislators would like to take money from the conservation department and put it in the general fund, Well, this amendment will prohibit that. This amendment will ensure that the money generated by the state parks goes back to the state parks, and our state park here is one of the most outstanding in the state. Mr. Livingston, Mr. Ledbetter have fully supported this amendment, and I just wanted to make you aware of our support for it, and we think that the money that's generated for our state park needs to stay here and maintain and be used for the benefit of our state park here in the county. Any questions concerning that? Any comments concerning that?
I'll say, I do agree with that, Chris and I, the state park kind of joined both of our districts, and we see a lot of benefit throughout the county, especially if the money comes in from tourism. It's a wonderful place. There's a lot more visitors than I ever dreamed comes through there every year, and it'd be a shame to lose the money and let that go down. And it ultimately costs the taxpayers of DeKalb County. I agree with Amendment 2. Support of that.
Thank you. We'll go through the rest of these. The Amendment 3 revises procedures for local amendments. What this does is that if you're voting on a local amendment, or a local amendment is presented, if one legislator casts a dissenting vote, it causes this amendment to have to be voted on statewide. It would change this. Now, just for example, there's an amendment that we have to vote on in this election for Pickens County, and it raises the age for a Pickens County probate judge to age 75. Well, you know, if folks in Pickens County wants to raise the age of their probate judge to 75, that's fine with me. But I don't need to be voting on what happened in Pickens County. And this is just what's going to change. The procedure for local amendments would be changed in that manner to where one legislator could not cause it to be voted on statewide. Any question about that? Y'all understand where we're going with that? I know you do. But I just wanted to make the general public aware as much as we could of what this would change, and it would be good for us and Pickens County and everybody else. So, any question, comment about that? All right, we'll move on to Amendment 4. Amendment 4 is supported by the ACCA, Alabama County Commission Association, and what it does, it gives counties some limited power in certain areas. The smallest city in the state of Alabama has more authority than the largest county. This doesn't apply to cities, but it does apply to counties in their administration of certain areas, certain things that they can do and can't do. You can read the amendment itself, but it would make it easier on county government in its procedural processes, in its projects that it has to do. It would simplify the process instead of us having to go to Montgomery with our hat in our hand every time that we need to do something. Any question about that?
It also prohibits us from levying any types of taxes too.
Yeah,
which is
well,
very important.
yeah, that's not in here, but we can't do that. We can't levy taxes.
Well, there's one amendment on here concerning Etowah County
Yeah.
that creates for them a personnel board for their sheriff's office.
Right.
That's a constitutional amendment. I think probably if number 4 were to pass, Etowah County would be able to create a personnel board without having to go through the legislature.
Right.
And there's things like that things that make sense that you could do. But it does not, there's no taxing power, there's no zoning power, there's nothing like that.
Nothing changes
Just
with our authority.
just certain procedures of how you do your administration of your government.
Any other comments, any questions? State Amendment 14 regards local laws. In 1984, this amendment was passed, or an amendment was passed, And there was a suit filed in Jefferson County that found a loophole in this law. And if this amendment does not pass, all the amendments passed since 1984 can be called into question. But if this amendment passes, it will establish that as regular procedural law. It will be established as current law. Right now, there are loopholes that could really tear up the process because of some rulings that have been found in these particular procedures. So it's very important that you read these, and all of these are yes votes. You know, we have a tendency sometimes to vote no on all of them. But on these particular ones, these need to be voted on yes. And of course, that'll ultimately depend on the judgment of the people who votes on it. That's your prerogative. But that's just some of the things that's not even close to all that it might involve, but this is just some of the things that we would recommend to you to look into before you cast your vote one way or the other. Gentlemen, anything else concerning that?
Let me make just a quick statement about these amendments and local amendments, state amendments. We elect our representatives to hopefully do what's best for the state and for the constituents, whether it's in a county level, local level, or state level. And a lot of times we don't see a lot of the changes that what maybe we expect. But some of this kind of stuff is exactly what they're doing to try to change some of the things and make some of the things better. So I would definitely recommend that people look at the amendments and research them and understand that this is the process that it takes to change some of these bills and these laws to make them better and to make it more efficient. All of these that we've mentioned here will make things a little bit more efficient and hopefully save money in the long run. There's no way to put an actual dollar amount on that, but I believe they'll all save some taxpayer money in the long run. But I was talking to a family member, actually, I won't mention their name, recently, and they said, well, if I don't know what that amendment's about, I just vote no. Please do not vote no. If you don't know what the amendment's about, just don't vote. Let the people that have researched it and that are interested in it vote on those amendments. If you don't know, just don't vote. Please don't vote no.
Now, this is not all the amendments that's on the ballot.
No.
There's several more, but these in particular really apply to us and could make a difference in the way that we have to go through procedures and certain other things that really would make our jobs easier and be more beneficial for the people that we serve. These gentlemen around this table, I commend you for all that you do, for the research that you do, and for the things that you do to make our jobs easier. And I wish we had the money to do all things that we have to do, but we are not in that position anymore. But I know that some of these things will help us if they pass. They can help us. It won't solve the problems that we have ongoing, but it will be a step in the right direction. So, any other questions about that? Thank you, Mr. Wood. We appreciate it. If not, then that concludes our agenda for today. Our next meeting will be November the 8th here in the chambers at 10 o'clock. There is nothing else. Excuse me. You can't say so.
I'd make an invitation today at noon at the Western Citizen in Fort Payne. The speaker at Rotary is Mayor Scott Hunter, the board member of the State Department of Education. If any of you would like to join us, please feel free to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. If there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Without objection, so ordered. Thank you, John.
Good job. Good job.
I'll let you know. I'll send you a formal letter. You have it right. Nobody can. Well, I'll